You ever look at how video games are right now and feel like something just died? Not gaming itself, but what made it feel alive. The spark that got you excited as a kid or as a teenager or whatever the hell age when you first saw something that blew your mind. And it's still there, like sometimes, but a lot of the time it feels like it's buried under spreadsheets, loot boxes, DLCs, live service fatigue, microtransactions, and quarterly earning reports. And yeah, I know companies need to survive, profit is a thing, but somewhere along the way, some of them stopped making games for us. They started making games for money and profit. And we can all trace this creeping problem through a bunch of trends, patterns, and decisions. Let's talk about what those are and how they got so bad and what it might cost us if we just keep going like this. So first of all, of course, monetization models run wild. Back in the day, a game cost money, paid for it, and you played it. Either you got it as a physical, like game box, not like Nintendo, giving you a key inside the box for you to actually have the permission to download a game. So I talked about Nintendo in the past video, you should check it out, but still. So you paid for it, frankly, and you played it, and what's done? Now it's pay to play, free to play subscription, battle passes, loot boxes, and again microtransactions. Some are harmless, but many are not. Studies show that modern monetization techniques often do increase profits, but don't necessarily improve design or satisfaction. They encourage spending, often by manipulating FOMO, it's the fear of missing out, impatience, or just making you wait forever or grind hard unless you pay, like loot boxes, for example. Randomized rewards you buy or grind for. A lot of them blur the line between gambling and games. They trigger dopamine hits. People criticize them for targeting children, for being unfair, for being addictive. The UK, for example, has seen many developer or publishers' complaints for failing to disclose effectively when loot boxes are on games. I mean, if we look at Roblox, this game is a profit machine, and only like the majority of players are children. And I mean, the dark patterns are getting even worse. I mean, we have UI tricks, misleading offers, and items that seem cheap but slowly bleed you dry, timers that force you to either wait or pay, etc. And there's research identifying dozens of unfair and misleading or even aggressive monetization issues from player feedback. And second, live service fatigue and game as a service models. These are the games that never really end. New content, seasons, microtransaction, events. I mean, it's great in theory, but many of them have potential, but in practice it means developers are stretched thin, always building the next season instead of finishing a coherent single-player experience. I mean, I think we all know what game I'm talking about, probably like the biggest one yet, Fortnite for example. Yeah, and game balance often gets warped towards spending, so the free player is slower, weaker, or forced into constant grind just to see the big spenders look good and feel rewarded. When the money dries up, servers shut down, content halts, people lose access, and unlike other old boxed games, that closure means something games are gone entirely, like erased from existence, or just severely crippled, and players who bought stuff just feel robbed. And also everything becomes live, even single player or narrative games are expected to have some kind of continuous engagement metric. I mean, like player retention, drop-off, microtransactions. Like they're all baked in, which means design choices are guided by what keeps people spending rather than what makes the game artistically or emotionally resonant. Third, cost inflation, risk aversion, and safe games. Big studios have budgets in the hundreds of millions now. COVID made things a bit weird. Development pipelines got more complex, market expectations ballooned. Publishers became terrified of anything that isn't guaranteed success. So what does that translate to? Sequels to sequels and reboots, live service skins on old franchises, because familiarity equals lower risk. Less experimental gameplay, less weirdness, fewer indie touches, unless the indie game gets hyped up on Steam or Game Pass. And DLCs, expansions, post-release content, and microtransactions are often planned from day one, which can lead to games feeling like modular, like monetization vehicles. instead of art or expression. And fourth and last one, burnout, crunch and invisible labor. Making games is creative, but also very hard. A lot of the revenue millions comes at the cost of overworked devs, unstable studios and layoffs. Even when games make huge profits, many people who build them don't see the rewards. There's also emotional fatigue among players. Too many games, too many updates, too many microtransactions, too many paywalls. Everything feels rushed, everything feels commodified. So is gaming dying? Not fully, but it's being hollowed out, bit by bit. The parts that were magic, surprise, wonder and creativity or taking risks are being squeezed by profit margins, legal risk and investor demands and bad past decisions. But there are glimmers of hope. Some companies still do it right. For example, we have people like Miyazaki or Hideo Kojima who are like the greatest minds in the entire gaming industry, who make games because they love games. They actually play games and understand what makes games so artistically or like so great. But some companies like Nintendo or EA have lost that kind of magic or that touch to the gamers. But still, some games like resist the trend. Indie studios make weird personal stuff, crowdfunded projects still shine, and some AAA devs are pushing back. Fewer microtransactions in certain games, and more transparency, more player-centric design. Players are more vocal than ever, demanding better. Also regulations creeping in. The EU, for example, is increasingly concerned about loot boxes and dark patterns. There are efforts to require companies to disclose odds, avoiding misleading UI, ensure that games aren't like delisted or left unplayable without warning. Movements like Stop Killing Games is one of the greatest movements we have, by far, which try to preserve access to online games even after servers shut down, and show players are, and like it shows that players are actually trying to push back. So what do we actually need? We need more transparency, clear odds, honest monetization, and less hidden paywalls. We need a lot more respect for the player time and fairness. If a game is designed around pay to skip, that should be clearly optional, not a hidden or unavoidable path. We need more creative risk. Give devs space to try new stuff without needing to guarantee huge financial success first. Maybe smaller scale, maybe experimental, but still meaningful and artistic. And sustainable business models, ones that allow fair compensation for workers, support devs, and still let the game last. So in the end, gaming doesn't have to die. But it clearly is on the stretch. If we all just buy into every day or every shady monetization trick, accept that games launch broken so they can sell more cosmetics and ignore when live services shut down, silence the devs who ask for fairer practices, yeah, then we're actually helping it to die. So I guess my question for you is, what are you tired of in gaming lately? What could companies do better, or which companies should do better? What do you miss from older games or smaller ones that you just don't see anymore? Think about that. And if you like this video, hit like, subscribe, leave a comment, because maybe this conversation is one of the few bits holding back the decay. So yeah, catch you next time.